Welcome you all to our first paper discussion session. So in this paper discussion session, we are going to discuss 2025 MCQ paper. Actually, the first 10 questions in this paper, because this is just a trial session. So if you have any questions related to the questions that we are going to discuss, or else if you have any questions related to the session, you all are free to comment those questions in the comment section, and I will reply to those comments, and if not, I will discuss that questions in the next paper discussion session. Again, I'm telling, this is just a trial session, and if you have any questions, you all are free to ask anything. Okay, so science is about all asking questions. Why, how, why? You have to ask questions. Therefore, again, I'm telling, ask any question if you are having. And the next thing is, listening to this session will not be efficient for you all. So therefore, to make this something that is very valuable, you have to make short notes. So keep short notes with you, keep those short notes with you, or else you can have a hard copy of this one. You can take a printout of the paper and then keep the printout with you, and you can write short notes on the paper itself, or else take some set of papers and start to draw the mind maps and write all the short notes there. Okay, so first of all, let's move on to the first question. So in this first question, what is the first question here? This is the first question. They are asking, okay, so I will highlight the first question. Which of the following, wait, okay, this one, it's not going to highlight. Why is that? Okay, this one, okay. Which of the following plants is a non-flowering plant with seeds? First of all, let's move on to the mind map. As we all know, we can divide plants mainly into two groups as flowering plants and non-flowering plants. You know that flowering plants means they bear flowers, and non-flowering plants means they do not bear flowers. Okay, so again, with me, read out. Flowering plants can be divided into two. Plants can be divided into two as flowering plants as well as non-flowering plants. Okay, so these non-flowering plants again can be divided in two groups. These non-flowering plants again can be divided into two groups as non-flowering plants with seeds and non-flowering plants without seeds. With seeds and without seeds. Okay, with seeds and without seeds. Okay. Now, these with seeds, non-flowering plants with seeds are called as gymnosperms. If you can remember, there is a special name for them. We call them as gymnosperms, and some pronounce it as gymnosperms as well. Here, this is gymnosperms. And then flowering plants, we call those flowering plants as angiosperms. Okay, angiosperms. Now you know the examples for flowering plants. Okay, before that, these flowering plants again can be divided into two. As monocotyledonous plants and dicotyledonous plants, or else we call them as monocots and dicots. Here, these are monocots, and then the other one is dicot. I'm writing the short forms, and if you are writing the mind map, don't write the short forms, write the full form. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to find those things when you refer these things again. Okay, so again, I'm telling here, plants can be divided into two as flowering plants and non-flowering plants. Flowering plants means the plants that bear flowers. Non-flowering plants means the plants that do not bear flowers, and then these non-flowering plants again can be divided into two as non-flowering plants with seeds and non-flowering plants without seeds. Non-flowering plants with seeds are called as gymnosperms, and these flowering plants are called as angiosperms. So these angiosperms again can be divided into two as monocots and dicots, and we'll discuss the differences between monocots and dicots in another question. If we discuss everything here, it will take some time. So therefore, I will stop the mind map from here, and you have to write examples as well. So what are the examples for these monocots? Examples for monocots are palmyra, and then what else? Paddy. So those are the examples for monocots. And dicots, rambutan, and then what you call guava, and there are a lot, right, for dicots. And then non-flowering plants with seeds, there are mainly two examples as cycas. Okay, cycas and pinus. Cycas and pinus. Non-flowering plants without seeds, selaginella, and then lycopodium. So those are the examples for those things. And if you want, I will show you some pictures of them. If you want, I will show you some pictures. This one about plants. In grade 10, the second book, no? Okay. Yeah. So these are the examples. Okay. So what are the examples for non-flowering plants without seeds? Here, Marcantia, Pogonatum, Selaginella, Neprolophis, Salvinia, Acrosticum, and then Drinaria. So those are the examples. And again, these are the pictures of them. And then these are the non-flowering plants with seeds. You can see cycas and pinus. Again, flowering plants, monocot and dicot, monocot coconut, dicot mango. So those are the pictures of them. Okay, now let's move on to the paper. So now you know that cycas is non-flowering plants but with seeds. So that one should be the answer. Okay, and then Neprolophis is a non-flowering plants without seeds, and paddy, you know, it's a monocot. That means paddy belongs to a flowering plant section. Paddy is belonging to the flowering plants, and then grass is also a monocot. That means it belongs to the flowering plants. Okay, so here the answer should be the cycas. I will round the answer here as cycas. I will round the answer here as cycas. No, I can't round it. Okay, so here the answer should be cycas. And then we'll move on to the next question. Select the answer which correctly gives the scientific name of pea plant according to the binomial nomenclature. First thing, what do you mean by binomial nomenclature? What do you mean by binomial nomenclature? Here, I will show you because otherwise it will take time for me to type those things and it's easy for me to show you the things. And let's discuss about the binomial nomenclature. So in future papers, I will not going to discuss this binomial nomenclature with you. Okay. So here, nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature means this is a method that are used by scientists to name different organisms. Okay, so in this binomial nomenclature, mainly there are two names as generic name and then species name. Here, see the standards of the binomial nomenclature. The scientific name of a species or species name is composed of two epithets. What are those epithets? Those epithets are generic name as well as a species name. The first epithet is the generic name and the second epithet is the specific name or else species name. And then the species name is given in Latin or Greek, and then the first letter of the generic epithet is capital and the other letters are simple, and when handwritten it should be underlined and when printed it should be italicized. Okay, if it is a printed one it should be italicized. if you are writing the scientific name, you have to underline those scientific names. So what do you mean by the nomenclature? Again, this nomenclature is used to identify organisms, because the names that we are normally using can be vary according to the language and according to the country and the region. So because of that, there is a specific way of naming organisms, and this is called as the binomial nomenclature, or else the nomenclature of organisms. Let's move on to the paper. So in the first one, can you see the first one is italicized? It's okay, but the second one is not italicized, so therefore you can't take that answer. And the next one is italicized, it's okay, but the fourth one is again, it's not italicized, so you can remove the first, second answer and the fourth answer. And then next one, only the first letter of the generic name should be in capital. All other letters should be in simple. But here you can see in the second name, the first letter is capital. So therefore you can remove this one. So definitely the answer should be the third one. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one. Which of the following is a non-living structure of a plant cell? Okay. Chloroplast, cell wall, Golgi body, and ribosome. Lamai, in this type of a question, you know that when we talk about a cell, there are organelles inside the cell. There are different types of organelles, and this chloroplast is a living organelle, because a lot of living things are happening inside this chloroplast. And then Golgi body, and then ribosomes, and actually the organelles here mentioned are living structures. But Lamai, when we talk about the cell wall, it's a non-living structure. Can you remember when we talk about a cell? So I will draw animal cell here. I will draw animal cell here. Now when we draw animal cell, it's like I will draw a plant cell here. Okay, so when we draw the plant cell, it's just like this. There is a shape, but here. Okay, so this is a cell wall. So the outer one is a cell wall, and the inner one is a cell membrane, or else plasma membrane. We know that this cell wall is permeable. That means it's totally permeable. What do you mean by totally permeable? It allows anything to go in or anything to go out. Okay, so that means it's non-living. But this cell membrane or the plasma membrane, it's living. It's a semi-permeable tissue. It's do not allow everything to go in or everything to go out. It allows selected materials to go in and go out. That means it's living as well as it's semi-permeable. So here the answer should be the cell wall, because cell wall is totally permeable. It's non-living. And cell wall, we know that cell wall is made up of mainly cellulose. In plants, cell wall is made up of cellulose. Other than cellulose, hemicellulose, and then pectin. So those are components in the cell wall, but mainly the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Next one. Number of premolar teeth on, okay, so this one is out of syllabus. You don't have this one in your syllabus now. Next one, fifth one. When a bottle of cinnamon oil is opened, the smell of cinnamon oil spreads in the air. To which transport method does this belong? This is also now not in your syllabus, but here the answer should be diffusion. But this one you are learning in grade 9 or grade 8, as I can remember. So when you open something, or scent or any the type of thing, you can smell that. That means it's because of this diffusion. So the particle from high concentration area or high concentrated area is moving to low concentration areas. So this one is called as the diffusion. This is also out of your syllabus. Increase of which of the following factors does not increase the transpiration? Again, this is out of syllabus. You are not going to discuss about transpiration in your syllabus, but you are discussing about the transpiration in grade 9, but not in O-level syllabus. In the human digestive system, if you want to discuss, tell me. Okay, but if you want to discuss these questions also, you can comment in the comment section. I will discuss. Seventh one, in the human digestive system, which enzyme in the pancreatic juice digest protein? Okay, so the trypsin is in the pancreatic juice. Yes, it's digest protein. This should be the answer. And peptidase cannot be found in pancreatic juice. We can find peptidase in the small intestine juice, the intestinal juice, and pepsin is in the gastric juice, not in pancreatic juice, and lipase is in the pancreatic juice, but it digests lipids, not the proteins. Okay, so here I will teach you about the enzymes in this mind map. This is just a short note about only about the enzymes. Okay. um okay, I will discuss this one. Okay, now when we talk about the digestive system, we know that this is the buccal cavity, mouth, buccal cavity, and then pharynx, and then this is the esophagus, and then you are having the stomach. Okay, and then the stomach, then this is the first part of the small intestine, and we call it one as the duodenum, and then the small intestine is there, and then you can find the large intestine. Okay, I'm just drawing this one. Large intestine is there. Large intestine. And then you are having the rectum and the anus. I'm not going to draw that one. And here, these are the parts that belongs to the digestive tract. Okay, that mean, what do you mean by the digestive tract? The tract where food passes. So food is taken into the digestive system from the mouth, and then buccal cavity is there, and then the esophagus, stomach, then small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. From the anus it goes out. This is the tract where food goes in, so we call that one as digestive tract. But other than these organs, there are some special organs that are related to the digestive system. That means for the digestion, other than these organs, there should be some other organs or else glands as well. Okay, so this is pancreas, this is one organ, and here there is the liver, and then there is the gallbladder, and as well as there are salivary glands here. So these glands are also important in food digestion. So therefore, when we get all of these things together, we call this system as digestive system. Okay, I will explain mainly of the things that are happening here. So we are taking food from the mouth, and in the mouth we know that the tongue is there and the teeth is there. From that we mechanically digest food. And then what do you mean by digestion? Digestion mean converting of large complex food materials into small food materials, and this process is called as a digestion. And digestion can be divided mainly into two, as mechanical digestion and then the chemical digestion. So this chemical digestion happen because of the enzymes. Because of that we call that one as enzymatic digestion as well. So inside the buccal cavity, both physical or the mechanical digestion and the enzymatic digestion or else the chemical digestion happen. We know that there are salivary glands related or associated with the buccal cavity, around the buccal cavity, and then from those salivary glands, saliva is secreting into the buccal cavity. We know that saliva contains mainly water, and then there are some ions as bicarbonate ions. And then there is a special kind of enzymes called as salivary amylase. So this is mainly about enzymes we are going to discuss. Therefore, salivary amylase is there. Salivary amylase, we call that one as tyline. So from tyline, what happen is, it converts starch. It converts starch mainly into disaccharides or maltose. maltose. It converts starch mainly into maltose. And then after that, as I told you before, we are breaking our food materials by using tongue and then teeth. So that is the mechanical digestion. So after all of those digestion, what happened? Food bolus or the food passes to the pharynx, and pharynx is the common area for both digestive system and the respiratory system, and then food comes to the esophagus. Digestion is not happening in the esophagus, but through the esophagus, food bolus is passing from the mouth to the stomach. Okay, so the food bolus is going to be passed through the esophagus by peristaltic movements, and then food bolus is coming to the stomach. We know that in the stomach also these two types of digestion, the mechanical digestion as well as the chemical digestion happen. How this mechanical digestion happen? So in the stomach, there are inside the stomach walls are there, and from the stomach walls they are also doing these peristaltic movements, and because of the movements of the walls of the stomach, what happen is again that food is converting into more small particles, and then there is a special kind of juice that is secreted by the stomach, and we call that one as gastric juice. Okay, so here the gastric juice is secreting. And gastric juice contain mainly 3 types of enzymes, and this juice is called as gastric juice. Gastric juice, and this gastric juice contain mainly 3 types of enzymes as pepsin, and then renin, and other than that there is okay, but it's not in your syllabus, and other than these 2 enzymes, HCl is present. Okay, other than these 2 enzymes, HCl is present. I will erase these ones. Okay, now let's discuss the function of these components in the gastric juice. So our first one is HCl. So from this HCl, this pepsin get activated. Actually what happen is pepsinogen is inside the gastric juice. That pepsinogen is converted into pepsin by this HCl, or else you can say that pepsin get activated because of this HCl, and also this HCl make the food acidic as well. And what is the function of renin? This renin is in small children's gastric juice. From this renin, what happen is coagulate the milk. Milk coagulation happen because of this renin enzyme. And from the pepsin, so this pepsin is important for us. So from this pepsin, what happen is large polypeptides. Large polypeptides means proteins. Polypeptides. We know that polypeptides or proteins are made up of amino acids. From this pepsin, these large polypeptides are converting into small polypeptides. Okay, so these large polypeptides are converting into small polypeptides. That mean here it should be polypeptides. Polypeptides. Large polypeptides are converting into small polypeptides, but still they are not going to convert into amino acids. Okay, and then what happened? The food going to be mixed with this gastric juice, and after mixing that, we call it as chyme. Okay, we call it one as chyme. Now what happened? This chyme is coming into the small intestine. So the first part of the small intestine is called as the duodenum. Okay, so the first part is called as the duodenum. This is the duodenum part. For this duodenum, 2 kind of juices are going to be secreted. Now, this is called as the liver. Bile is producing in the liver. Okay, so the bile is producing in the liver, but this produced bile is going to be stored in gallbladder. bile is producing in the liver, but it's going to be stored in gallbladder. And from the gallbladder, this bile is secreted to the duodenum. So this bile contain bile pigments and bile salts, and the main function of bile is lipid emulsification. What do you mean by lipid emulsification? Main function is lipid emulsification. Okay, what do you mean by lipid emulsification? Large lipids are converting into small lipid globules. Okay, so the large lipids are converting into small lipid globules, and this process is called as lipid emulsification, and this is done by bile. And then there is an organ related to the digestive system that is called as the pancreas, and from this pancreas, pancreatic juice is going to be secreted. So pancreatic juice. This pancreatic juice also contains different types of enzymes, as trypsin is there, and then lipase is there, and then trypsin, lipase, and also amylase is also there. You know the function of this trypsin. This trypsin is converting again the large polypeptides into small polypeptides, and lipase, you know, it's going to convert the large lipids or these emulsified lipids. That මෙතනදී ලොකු ලිපිඩ්ස් ටික පොඩි ලිපිඩ්ස් ඒ කියන්නේ ලිපිඩ් ග්ලොබියුල්ස් වලට කන්වර්ට් වුණානේ. ඒතර එහෙම කරේ කවුද? බයිල්. ඒතර බයිල් වලින් ඉමල්සිෆයි වෙච්ච ලිපිඩ්ස් ටික ආයෙම අපි දන්නවා ලිපිඩ්ස් හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ ෆැටි ඇසිඩ්ස් and glycerol වලින්. ඒතර ෆැටි ඇසිඩ්ස් and glycerol වලට කන්වර්ට් කරන්නේ මෙන්න මේ lipase or pancreatic lipase. Again, what is the function of lipase? Pancreatic lipase, it converts its emulsified lipids into glycerol and fatty acids. And then this amylase convert, if there are remaining starch, those remaining starch is going to be converted into maltose by this amylase. Okay. And then what happened? This food comes to the small intestine. So the small intestine also secreting a special kind of juice, and that is called as the intestinal juice. And this contain maltase. Okay. And then what about lactase? And then sucrase. Okay. And then maltase, lactase, sucrase. And other than that, peptidase. Okay, now you know the function of maltase. Maltase convert maltose into glucose, because we know that maltose is composed of 2 glucose molecules. So what this maltase is doing is this disaccharide or maltose is going to be converted into 2 glucose molecules. And this lactase convert lactose into glucose and galactose, and this sucrase convert sucrose into glucose and fructose. And from this peptidase, what peptidase do is, you know that here also small polypeptides formed, and here also from this trypsin also small polypeptides formed. These small polypeptides are going to convert into amino acids by this peptidase. එතර මෙන්න මේ small polypeptides ටික amino acid කරන්නේ කවුද? මෙන්න මේ peptidase කියන enzyme එක. දැන් එතකොට ඔයාලට තේරෙනවා අපි කාපු කෑමවල තිබිච්ච ඔක්කොම කාබෝහයිඩ්‍රේට්ස් ටික ඩයිජෙස්ට් වුණා. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකේ මොනොම එකටම ඩයිජෙස්ට් වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රෝටීන්ස් ටික ඔක්කොම ඩයිජෙස්ට් වුණා. ලිපිඩ්ස් ටික ඔක්කොම ඩයිජෙස්ට් වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ වෙන්නේ ළමයි absorption process එක. So here I'm not going to discuss about the absorption process. Here only about the enzymes. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can comment in the comment section. Now let's move on to the question here. Yeah, I discussed that question with you. So the answer is trypsin, because lipase is also in the pancreatic juice, but it digests lipids, not proteins. Okay, next one. The class teacher was unable to attend school for 2 days due to reddishness of the throat pain in the throat and loss of voice. What could be the illness that she had? Definitely, it should be an illness related to the respiratory system. So because of that, you can remove this gastritis. And then they have been mentioned that the disease is in throat and there is a pain in the throat and also loss of voice. We know that the voice comes out because of the voice box or else because of the larynx. Okay, so this disease should related to larynx then. So the disease that related to larynx is laryngitis, not tuberculosis, not asthma. So it should be laryngitis. Next one. A person who does not have any visual defects sees an object clearly in general, then its image is formed. Okay. The person who does not have any visual defects sees an object clearly in general when its image is formed. Okay. So if we want to see something clearly, the image should be formed on the retina. Make on the retina behind the retina in front of the retina it should be on the retina. And then next one, 10th question. Both sons born to particular parents are suffering from color blindness. Which of the following can exactly be said regarding this statement? Lamai. We'll discuss about this question in the next paper discussion session because now the video is 31 minutes. So because of that, I will stop from here. And if you have any questions, please ask in the comment section, or else you can call me, or else you can message me. Okay. So you have to ask questions, and I will discuss about this 10th question in the next paper discussion session. I will wind up this session from here. See you all in the next paper discussion session.